And Jesus had to learn everything that was taught at Qumran. The average person would come and maybe spend 5 years on one subject. He had to learn it all. And he had such a tremendous capacity to absorb, even as a child. He was able to learn everything that was taught in just a few years. That's why he didn't have to stay there very long. And he described him and John the Baptist. Those were the only two students that he had, as the one being very fiery and active and everything, and Jesus was the calmer one. So it was interesting that he saw the personalities of the two as they were growing up. But we do know there are about 20 years of missing time that has never been explored. The church will not tell you what happened in those years. What we were able to find out is that is when he was doing his learning and his training all over the known world. That not only the Essene information, but he had to learn from all of the teachers of the world at that time, all of the wise people. Now, how did he do this? How was he able to go to these places? His uncle was Joseph of Arimathea. Now, in the Bible, it just mentions him one time as a rich man who gave up his tomb for Jesus. That's all the mention there is of him. But we were able to find out is that Joseph of Arimathea was Jesus' uncle. He's related to Mary. He was Mary's father's brother. And since I've done the research now, I begin to find out all of this is absolutely true. But he was Jesus' uncle. He was an extremely rich man. He was one of the richest men in the world at that time. I said it would be bigger than a Rockefeller or anything you would have today. He was so rich, nobody questioned him. The Romans, no one messed with him because he had such tremendous wealth. He had a huge fleet of ships that traveled all over the world and dealt in trading. He traded tin, he traded materials, but the most where his fortune came from was in the trading of tin. And he also had caravans, but most of it was with these huge fleets of ships. And when I first began lecturing on this, and when I first began coming to England, people were asking me, where did Joseph get his tin? And I said, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. There was not a question that I'd asked. So the people began telling me about the legends in the south part of England here about the tin mines and Joseph of Arimathea connected with Glastonbury. And I said, well, I'd be interested in the legends. So they started sending me books from over here. Now this is where I've been getting a lot more information that backs up everything that I've been saying and connects it all together, is with the books they've sent me dealing with the legends. And before we're finished on this, I'm going to tell you what I have found that is no longer a legend. It is absolutely true. Because I found a book that went back to the ancient Roman records and were able to prove that the story of England is not a legend. It is a glorious part of your history. When I was lecturing in Cheltenham, I said, you mean I'm going to be telling you your own history? And apparently they have not studied this enough to find out it is not a legend, it is very real. Okay, the tin mines were located in England. They said the lower part, the south part, was called the Tin Islands. They were all islands down there at that time. The richest deposit and almost the only deposit of tin in the world was right there in the Glastonbury area in those 10 islands. And Joseph knew where these were.